In Saint-Domingue, the most wealthy colony in the Western Hemisphere, there was a slave revolt, a precursor to a revolution. To prepare, the French government sent a fleet of ships to quell the revolt. What they were about to experience they were not prepared for. When the French soldiers arrived on the island, they were decimated by a mysterious killer. Stephen Girard, a French philanthropist in Philadelphia, sent ships to help French soldiers escape the disease to Philadelphia. In 1793, Philadelphia was the heart of the United States until tragedy struck. Philadelphia would never be the same again. The Philadelphia yellow fever outbreak of 1793 was a tragedy of mass proportions, resulting in the death of 10% of the Philadelphia population. During the outbreak, Dr. Benjamin Rush prescribed bloodletting and mercury-based treatments which harmed the patients and caused more destruction. After the numerous failed treatments attempted by the Americans, a French physician, Dr. Jean Devez, prescribed what was known as the French cure, which was much more successful at treating patients. The French cure finally stopped the use of bloodletting and mercury-based treatments, and in the long term shaped medicine into what it is today. In 1793, Philadelphia was the capital of the United States of America. With a population of 50,000, the biggest city in the new nation. As the summer came to an end, French refugees escaping Saint-Domingue arrived at the ports of Philadelphia. Unbeknown to the refugees, they had also brought mosquitoes which had carried yellow fever. People were in a perilous state. The disease spread like wildfire, causing 20,000 people to leave the city, including many wealthy civilians, members of the upper class, and government officials such as George Washington, the president at the time. The fleeing left the poor to die in a ghost town. With most of the government gone, many doctors had to take leadership of the city. Yellow fever caused many horrible symptoms that included fever, black vomit, headache, bleeding, and jaundiced skin and eyes. Panic swept across the city as no one seemed to be safe from the pestilence, with even someone in the federal government dying from yellow fever. Most medicine was still at the same level as the Middle Ages.
The same kind of treatment was based on our very, very traditional modalities. Going back literally to ancient Greece medicine, there were certainly two schools of thought about exactly how to do it.
Fever seemed to be untreatable, with many doctors trying all sorts of treatments from potions to bloodletting.
I don't know the particular doctor. I know it's a very old theory that goes back hundreds of years, really. And when you think about it, it's a kind of commonsensical way to think about treating medicine, because it's looking at what can you see. You know, what can you see when you look at somebody? What can you see in terms of what leaves somebody if they're bleeding or if they're vomiting, whatever. So it was a very old system that originated out of that. And what you get at the time of the yellow fever is it's kind of its last gasp. Medicine's then beginning to move away from it.
Most treatments fell into two categories: heroic measures in purging and a kinder, complementary treatment. Dr. Benjamin Rush, the city's most prominent and respected physician, prescribed a treatment which heavily involved purging.
Then there was Dr. Benjamin Rush, who believed in heroic measure. These would usually include the first using a mercurial agent, something like castor oil, calomel, or mercury salt, to purge the bowl of the contents. After purging, often the patient would be warm, wrapped in blankets, so they would be perspired, and finally, after that, they would be bled.
In 1793, most doctors followed an ancient theory of anatomy and medicine that was based off 4 liquids called humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile.
The body is actually made of something called humors. Basically, it's this system of fluid. When one of these fluid is out of balance, you need to balance it somehow. So you feed the body something that's going to get him to sweat and sweat out the bad humor, or something that's going to make the person throw up, just to get out essentially and to restore balance.
Many doctors, including Benjamin Rush, believed in this treatment and would use this theory as the basis for purging and bloodletting. Bloodletting and purging, unfortunately, had terrible side effects and caused further damage, killing many patients and accelerating the mortality rate. Many died from mercury poisoning or were weakened due to bloodletting. While Rush and many other doctors had good intentions, by using obsolete treatments, they were contributing to the death of thousands of Philadelphians. With widespread panic across the city, more and more citizens were dying each day from the fever. Mayor Clarkson, the only government official left in the city, was determined to try to help ease the panic and put an end to the outbreak. He illegally possessed the estate of Bush Hill and converted it into a hospital, which was run by Stephen Girard. Stephen Girard appointed French doctor Dr. Jean Devez as the chief doctor for the hospital. Dr. Jean Devez, a vocal critic of Rush's treatments, instead prescribed a treatment that would be known as the French cure. He and many other doctors, including Dr. William Curie, who were against Rush's use of purging, believed in a supplementary treatment which helped and supported the immune system of the patient.
They really believe in a kinder and gentler treatment of yellow fever. Hydration, rest, lying in dark room, wine, and other very gentle remedies were used in order to allow the body to heal itself.
These treatments, while not foolproof, were considerably more successful than the antiquated treatments prescribed by Rush.
Each thought the other was killing patient, and they said so. Rush thought anybody who ignored his treatment was foolhardy and was going to increase the mortality. Others argue that what Rush was doing was unprecedented and intolerable and was going to help depopulate the city.
Benjamin Rush himself, when he became ill, also requested to be treated with bleeding and purging. He survived, and partially as a result of this, he fervently believed in and advocated for heroic measures.
Devez conducted an autopsy on the dead patient of Rush. To his surprise, he discovered Rush patients died from mercury poisoning. The situation then escalated with the College of Physicians endorsing Devez's treatment. So, in retaliation, Rush left the College of Physicians to start his own institution, the Academy of Medicine.
There were many theories for where the disease was originating, from the hot climate to rotting vegetables. For many city officials, they thought that the dirty water was causing the outbreak, and Dr. Rush had two theories: miasma, bad air, or rotting coffee. But they were far off from the real cause: mosquitoes. Some citizens became so desperate that they were firing guns and cannons off towards the sky, trying to kill whatever they thought was infecting them with the pestilence. Even with the doctors trying their best to keep the disease from spreading, there seemed to be no end in sight as the death rate soared to 100 people per day. Despite all the different treatments, the outbreak only dissipated when the mosquitoes spreading the disease died off from the cold. From August to November, over 5,000 people were killed, about 10% of the Philadelphia population.
In addition, you have the council people who came together as a committee to try to deal with this as a public health issue. You have the leaders of the African American community that came forward to also offer their help. And to me, what's really intriguing about the yellow fever epidemic in Philadelphia is that collaborative nature. Not that they all necessarily agreed with each other, but they were all working towards the same end.
After the outbreak ended, the city of Philadelphia tried to improve the abominable sanitation of the city, which was thought to be the cause of the epidemic by many city officials. The city installed new sewers and wooden pipes. The Board of Public Health was created to keep the city cleaner and try to minimize the amount of public health problems. And the Revolutionary Waterworks was built to deliver clean water all over the city. And the Lazaretto, a quarantine station for ships and goods at the port, was constructed.
In the long term, yellow fever not only changed the field of medicine for the next 200 years, but also led innovation in the city sanitation and clean water distribution. Also, the yellow fever vaccine won the Nobel Prize for innovating the techniques of vaccine creation, which is now used today. After yellow fever, medicine was pushed into a direction away from bloodletting and purging toward the modern medicine of today. Benjamin Rush and many other Philadelphians doctors prescribed purging treatment based on the ancient theory of the four humors. This was challenged by Dr. Jean Devez and the doctors of Bush Hill, who used more gentle treatments to supplement the body immune system.
After yellow fever, Philadelphia built and designed revolutionary water distribution systems and paved the way for the start of cities supplying municipal services to its citizens. The new treatments and techniques brought to America modernized medicine and put an end to the pernicious treatment of purging, and set medicine on a more scientific, effective path. The change in the way doctors treated people during yellow fever influenced the next 200 years of medicine and shaped the lives of millions of people today.